Today we're going to unbox one of the coolest deliveries I've gotten as far as car parts. The 79 to 97, I believe it is, rear control arms from ADTR for Crown Victorias, Grand Marquis, the Panther chassis stuff. And it's pretty sweet. I'm going to start though with a comparison showing what the alternative was until these guys came along. And that is these babies. This is the factory rear lower control arms. There wasn't really much you could do with the rear upper control arms. And all you could really do was box them. You can see, well, it's not my welding. Not that mine's any better, but someone's welded a plate. These are thin as hell. It's hard to even get across how flimsy these are. You can actually bend them, flex them at least with your hand. They're really floppy. I've already removed them. I was going to put polyurethane control arm bushings in there, which these come with. But just so we know what we're starting with, and they're all going to be this nasty and crunchy. This is from a Southern car. They sometimes from the factory will have holes drilled to mount the sway bars. That's what this is. Sometimes they won't. If they didn't come with one actually mounted, even if they have holes, it'll be like my car where you actually needed to bend. You can kind of see how that's just been bent with, I think I used vice grips or something to get the sway bar to clear. So you almost have to take the control arm off to mount sway bars, which, considering how crucial rear sway bars are on this car, that's a pain. And they're not the heaviest thing, but once you plate them, they're not light either, and obviously no adjustability, and there's really nothing you can do with the uppers. Now here, we're going to unbox the good stuff. Yeah, I've already cut it open, but I actually have not peeked in. So we're going to see what we get. These are, geez, it's something like $6.99 US. By the time I got it to Canada, it was, oh god, I don't want to talk about how much money it was, but they are totally custom made control arms, upper and lower rear control arms. So let's just lay out what we get in the box before anything else. Made in the USA. Chris, I believe his name is, from ADTR, was posting updates from the actual fabrication place. I don't think he does the hand fabrication, but he has it done at a local shop. There you can see, so obviously the long ones are the uppers, or long ones are the lowers, short ones are the uppers. The uppers are adjustable, so if you know how to get into adjusting pinion angle and all that sort of stuff, that's a possibility. I've also got, slightly bent up, these stickers. Now ADTR, in the past, they've almost exclusively done the newer Crown Vics, the sort of last generation 98 and up, although he has a project car of his own that is a 92, I think. But you know, the stuff, the box era stuff, the stuff old enough to have small block Fords, not really done anything for, which is understandable because they're $1,000 cars. So this is sort of the first thing. Myself and quite a few other people are finally, I think, at the point in our life where we can buy nice stuff for our cars, and ADTR is nice enough to do stuff for reflecting that now. And here you can see, probably the only place in the world calling itself, if you will focus, Crown Vic, Marauder, Grand Marquis, and Town Car Specialist. He is a very nice resource to have, especially if he's going to keep building stuff for my car. Now, there are no instructions included per se, but he did email all of us that got this first group buy dedicated instructions, and speaking from personal experience, you can just reach him and ask him questions, which is more than you can say for Summit or Beltec or any other sort of place you might get suspension parts. So I've pre-cut the stuff here to get this one unwrapped, but I am seeing it for the first time right along with you. Now, keep in mind when you see this, these are replacing those floppy old ones that just, they move all over the place. I have a video on my YouTube from a few years ago. I shot the side view from the side of just what these the movement is like while autocrossing or tracking or whatevering these cars, as far as the rear wheels flopping around, and it is a lot. So I am hoping that not only might I feel a handling improvement, but I might actually be able to fit a larger wheel or larger tire without rubbing, just because there is so much flex that if I can get some of that flex to go away, I think we're probably talking 1.5 to 2 inches of movement. So if we can get that to go away, going up in the tire size, like the engines you can fit in these cars, obviously always a nice thing, because the part that rubs is right on the inside, is on the frame, so it's kind of a hard size limit for tire. Here's what we've got as far as the lowers. Right away you can see, I believe they are powder coated. Yeah, powder coated black. Very nice, very nice quality of the powder coating. They come preloaded with the black poly bushings, the ones that are sort of self-lubricated, so they don't tend to squeak and squeak and squeak quite as much. And remember I was showing how you had to actually bend stuff to get your sway bar mount going, and then there'd just be an insert in here that you actually had to kind of feed up in through. Well, that's why there's a little hole there. You have to sort of hold an insert up so that you didn't crush this whole arm. And in fact, it's hard to see, but it has actually been crushed a little just by the action of tightening up a sway bar. So what they've gone ahead and done is these big chungus, I guess you could call them bungs, put in, so there's no interference and it just bolts up nice and solidly. Taken as a whole, that is pretty. And they come with grease fittings right on there. Nice little grease fittings. So should stay nice and quiet. Obviously you want to mount this side down, or grease nipples down. Here's the other side. Yep. Very nice workmanship. Beautiful welds in so much as you can see them behind all the powder coat. Yep. Alright, I've again sort of pre-stripped it to the point where I can unbox this or unwrap it by hand, one-handed. This is the lower control arm you get. Now this should be a little more exotic, if you will, because it's actually adjustable. So this, I believe this is the side that actually mounts into the frame, and then you're got the other side's going to be what mounts onto the bushings in your rear diff. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these is you probably don't want to run a poly bushing in the rear diff, because you need some level of movement. well, to stress things. The Mustang guys have learned that the hard way, that if you get all poly bushings with the added stiffness that a control arm like this will involve, something's got to give, and it might just be your frame. So probably going to keep the factory bushings or put in some factory style replacements on the axle. Here we see where things get interesting. Again, very nice weld. I don't know nearly enough about pinion angle and control arm lengths to discuss that with any authority, but I'm going to have to learn, because whether you're doing a drag application or more of a street autocross, occasional track day type deal like I am, this should open up new avenues of fixing some of the flaws in the handling with these cars, being able to adjust. Scratch it before it's on the car. Being able to adjust the length of this by, looks like probably quite a bit, should allow you to tune, especially the launch. But here's what we got. We got the grease fitting, and you can see that is heavy. I mean, I've got pretty small hands, but it's still, that is a chunk of iron, or, well, steel. And they've nicely sort of braced it. It's probably more serious of a reinforcement and heavier gauge than some people might be used to, because keep in mind, these cars can weigh 5,000 pounds. There are people buying these to tow with them. There you can see there's another sort of a bracket, like a bracing going on there. You know, people use these kind of like trucks. It's a bit like building parts for an F-150 Lightning or one of the new Hemi Durangos, or Challengers too. Those things are about as heavy, but you know, it's all a bit more serious than a Fox body, even if you end up with something that'll get its doors blown off by a Fox body in the end. Alright, now that it's all laid out for the glamour shot, a couple other things I wanted to note. One is they do vary side to side on the lowers. You can see that bung barely sticks out. That bung sticks out quite a bit more. These ones are sort of protruding, so keep that in mind when mounting a sway bar. And also just a little attention to detail. I was going, oh hey, he put 2 stickers in. That's nice. Yeah, it's so you can put them on your car on either side. And one's pointing one way, one's pointing the other. Because that's pretty sweet little bit of, like I say, attention to detail he's thrown in. So there they are.